generic or genuine? All right, Justin, you are the guide on this journey.
Yeah.
This 18-song, beautiful masterpiece of an album that everybody should listen to.
Which is count it, two discs.
Right,
The
exactly.
Steppers to begin, and Mr. Moral at the ending. So we start off with United in Grief.
Mm-hmm.
With the words, I hope you find some peace in your lifetime. I hope you find some paradise.
It's kind of like a triumphant little opening.
Right.
It's a B flat minor. The melody is, that is. And it kind of ends paradise. That's like a triumphant kind of sound to my ears personally.
Cool. Right.
Which I think the pentatonic scale, because that last little 3-note run is like a pentatonic run. So I think it adds some sort of triumph, and hence the whole idea that they're united in grief. They're going to go fight, basically ignorance, and unite in the grief that they have. So continue.
Right.
Sorry.
And then Whitney, his fiance,
Mm-hmm.
says, tell them your truth.
Which is interesting.
It's wonderful.
Because there is a reason why she says that at the beginning of the album, and you kind of get to work on that meaning for the entire album.
The
which
whole
is
entire album.
so cool, dude.
Then right after that, it's kind of like a motivation of her telling Kendrick, go do it, because he's been going through something for 1,855 days. He's been going through writer's block. He's been going through infidelity. He's been going through becoming a new father.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the most intriguing parts of the entrance, because this album was released on Friday the 13th, he then says, be afraid.
Yeah, because he's coming after everyone's ass.
Everyone, in Control.
Yeah.
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 I mean, but he's got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you. And then he's dropping truth in this one. So he's doing that in exposing different aspects of, like, in the heart
shallowness, ignorance,
of culture.
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
the culture. Yeah.
Our next song, N95. This song, that it's got the soundbite. Bitch, you ugly as fuck. That's going to be used. That's going to be a soundbite on TikTok.
Yeah, you missed it.
Yeah. For this song, I really enjoyed the line, take off the new logic that if I'm rich, I'm rare. Like, you know what that speaks to me is, again, TikTok culture of these,
nice.
People with this flashy hair, or, if it's a lady, they're shaking their ass for the TikTok. If it's a dude, they're doing, some rubbing their face, like looking like they're all hot and stuff. And so it's just like, because it's such like a rich boy culture, or like rich kid culture. And Kendrick is definitely commenting on that, thinking it's so funny how like people who are like TikTok rich think that they're so unique, because there's literally 30,000 of them. And that's what Kendrick is saying here. So next song, we have Worldwide Steppers. Justin, what do you got on this song?
Well, it starts with tap dancing,
which is interesting because
what are they
talking
around
about?
The question? What are they?
They're tap dancing, around the question. And that's something you hear throughout the album, actually. The sound of like tap dancers tapping against wood, essentially.
Well, not in the whole album,
but you hear it throughout. Oh yeah.
In the Steppers, the first 9, you hear it.
Yeah. Which is, oh man. And then there's made reference to it later on in We Cry Together at the end of that song. But it's referenced throughout,
right? And then so in Worldwide Steppers, Kendrick is dealing with this. Well, let's just say it. He likes to fuck white bitches. Okay, that's what he says the whole time, and he feels like it's an intergenerational revenge.
Yeah, I understand his perspective on that, because it's like. Well, it's such like a dark aspect too. It's like
so dark.
It's like so angry. It's so angry,
right?
But it's also so visceral and so like actually probably relieving to recognize that you have that within yourself. Which
he's also, while he's saying that, he is admitting to cheating on his fiance, which makes it even more interesting.
That's crazy.
When Whitney in the beginning says, "Tell them your truth," because in a sense, he is addicted to cheating almost.
Yeah, I mean, we all get drawn into those things.
So hardcore. Yeah. It's these truth bombs that get released
on himself too.
They don't just like get dropped on it. It's like they get released as like this nuclear just mushroom cloud of it starts and then it goes back and then it just erupts with just this explosion of emotion. And that's what I hear with the next song with Die Hard, where he's saying, I'm a diehard. And honestly, Kendrick sounds so confident in this song. It's just, man, the way his words are, like, it's not just the lyrics that he's saying, but it's his cadence, because he likes to say that the melody and the rhythm that he's rapping as is his cadence. It's Kung Fu Kenny. It's what the level he got to into Pimp a Butterfly, but it is so articulate and masterful. It's like he already has 10,000 hours with that masterful Kendrick Lamar voice in this.
Yeah.
And it's like in this song, he really understands and he really knows what he wants to say, leading him into the next song, because he's at this emotional state where he wants to say all of those things. And that's Father Time.
Yeah.
And then he's talking about daddy issues.
It opens up with him talking, or is it Whitney saying, you really need to go to therapy?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That could be Taylor too.
It could be Taylor too, but
yeah, because it is a different tone. So it's either a different sample for a different day when she was in a different mood, or it's a different person.
Yeah. Could be either. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
Right.
But then this female character says, reach out to Eckhart, referencing, Eckhart Tolle, the philosopher.
Which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I like Father Time too, because like it's also such a like brutal, honest take about toxic masculinity in all men. Like, because there's such a mentality built up of hiding your emotions from the previous generation that was basically ingrained in them because of, our grandparents' generation of being tough as hell. Because, I mean, dude, imagine growing up through the Great Depression and World War II and then complaining. Like, no, they're not doing that. So that's why they like... That's why our grandparents' generation is so hard on like our parents' generation, and which is why I think our parents' generation is so hard on us, So
with all of these complex, like hard fought concepts, what instrument is prominent? A keyboard, just a simple piano. Just a nice classical type, just calm in the beat. And he's having all of those concepts. So it's like that I really like contrast like that.
Yeah.
It really gets me.
Another song with piano in it would be the next song, Rich Interlude.
And that
with
has
Kodak.
a simple one tap piano
note. And then it kind of goes into this arpeggiation of a bunch of notes.
And so while that's happening, it's only Kodak. And then when it gets to the arpeggiating, there's a little bit of a male choir. There might be one or two voices. There is not many. And then it goes back to that simple form of the piano at the end. And then so it ends with that single piano note. So it goes from single, complex, single with Kodak just
throughout.
Putting his genuine spirit into this song. Oh my goodness.
Speaking of spirit, the next song is Rich Spirit,
which has an insane 808 bass. I was listening to it on my really high tech headphones at home, and it was literally the first time where I'm like, holy crap, that's bass.
Yeah.
That's bass right there. That's right in your face.
Now, I think we've got to spend a lot more energy on this next song, because this to me is like
right in your face as well.
This is like the quintessential tune of the album, in my opinion, because it opens up with, this is what the world sounds like. And it's, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I hate you, small dick ass bitch. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Yeah, no,
crap.
it's so angry.
Yeah, it's the hatred and toxicity, not just masculine,
but feminine too.
But feminine masculinity, also just straight up human.
Feminine masculinity.
Yeah. No, like just straight up human toxicity.
It is.
And it's so intense.
Yeah, dude.
And then so they're having this very just war back and forth. And then they're saying fuck you, right? And then so they go fuck you. No, fuck me.
Yeah.
And then it ends like that, and then your mind is just blown.
Like what is going on? But it's literally such an insight into what a toxic relationship would sound like. And like I love how this one also ends with the stop tap dancing around the conversation, because it's like it's a think about all the problems we have now that we need to talk about. And, you know, it really speaks to Kendrick and his savior complex that, you know, comes out.
Right. And I like these concepts that are being brought out because with one song, we are brought to a threshold of emotion, of feeling.
Yeah.
Of this is such a toxic relationship. And then the next song, which has Ghostface Killah, it's Purple Hearts. So the Purple Heart is in reference to it's what we sustain in the war of love, and hopefully love is able to shine through the toxicity.
Right. Yeah. And
so
I mean, you get a couple scars too from that.
Right. So we go from getting the stars to stars. Yeah. It's my stars in my eyes. That's
Dancing with the stars.
Yeah.
Oh, but the scars. The scars of emotional trauma, which we should not be laughing about.
No, we should not. And then you get the Purple Hearts, and then hopefully you're able to
deal with it.
And then that's the album break. That's the end of the Steppers.
Mm-hmm.
And then right away, it's Count Me Out. And to me, this is Kendrick writing.
Like physically writing. His wrongs.
His wrongs.
I hate you so much.
No, he's writing his wrongs.
No, but
he's literally
true.
writing down the wrongs and then expressing them.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Throughout the entire album, not even just in this song, too.
But specifically this song. He is out on the threshold. He is out on the concept of doing that. Mm-hmm. That theme in this song.
Yep. The next song is Crown by Kendrick Lamar, number 11 on the track, or the album, excuse me.
Yep, and then there's a wonderful music video with Jonathan Majors, my favorite actor. He's very intense in it. He has this very intense look in his face. And then they start with two men crying with each other, and then they pan right to a little girl and then everybody around her is in hazmat suits. And how I see this is it's someone big in that little girl's life just died because of the two grown men crying. So I assume that it's her father
in the video. Yeah.
And so now the little girl is walking around not getting paid attention. No one has the attention to pay to her. Everyone's in hazmat suits. Everyone's not giving her attention. And then the chorus is can't please everybody. Because to me, that's from the perception of that little girl, where anything that she does, she can't please anyone because of the love that she would have had from a parent is gone.
Yeah, which is...
It's just so intense.
Yeah, dude.
The deep meanings of the music video, because I wouldn't have gotten that from the song if it was just the song, but that visual, because I'm a visual learner. Like, it just hit me so much more in that song.
Yeah, which is why you also have to check out the music videos that came out with this album. So amazing. But let's talk about the popular song off the album, or what we think will be the popular song, Silent Hill.
Yeah, I think because of Kendrick really does a funny. Maybe you should get the soundbite.
Yeah, so push these off me like, huh. Yeah, that's another soundbite in the album that people will use that will probably end up being a TikTok dance.
Right, and so Kodak Black makes another appearance in this as well.
It's just funny though, because like he's kind of on Kendrick's flow. You know what I'm saying? Like he's doing Kendrick's flow.
He basically replicates it. Mm-hmm. I do really like Kodak though.
Is it intentional or is it unintentional?
So yes.
Yeah. Intentionally unintentional.
Yeah, because he heard Kendrick and was like, "Oh, I
that's
mean,
cool."
Yeah, and then he's writing, and then he's like, "Oh shit!" When I'm expressing this, it kind of sounds exactly
like Kendrick. But maybe that's what they both wanted for the album. Who knows?
I think it is. Honestly, I really think it is because it wasn't distracting at all. Having Kodak, because the cadence is so freaking good. The song structure that Kendrick has with the voice is so intoxicating. It's very complex. It's a 2-3 line structure. I mean, you just can't get around it if you want to have the same song and not have like featuring Kodak Black on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there can be too many features on an album, especially if they're all labeled. The number 13 track on this album is Savior, the interlude. And it starts off with a little Eckhart Tolle sample. Shout out Eckhart. And actually, Kodak is it United in Grief or is it... I think it's United in Grief, or maybe it's the third track. I can't remember exactly, but I know that Kodak actually lists out like all the people that made an appearance on the album, and like because he says Kodak, OK Llama, Eckhart Tolle. I just think it's super interesting to have that call out and then use Eckhart Tolle samples, and you know what that speaks to is the therapeutic aspect of this expression that Kendrick released.
Yeah, he did reference that he got a therapist. Mm-hmm. He got himself a therapist.
Yeah.
Yep. But also with this song, the Savior interlude, Baby Keem. It's his song. Mm. And it's making me kind of think that he's a genuine rapper.
As long as they don't do what they did on Family Ties.
But it was good.
I mean,
but if you like take like little snippets, if you take this part, and this part, we have the best song of last year. But if you take this part, and this part, we have Broccoli by Lil Yachty.
Yeah, right. FKA Dram.
Well, all right. Yeah. The next song, speaking of Kendrick's therapy, he has had a savior complex his whole entire career where he feels like he has to save people. He has to save the culture. He has to save Compton. He has to save the people that he's around. And he really takes those obligations in this song, Savior, and kind of throws them in the trash.
Because he recognizes that there's literally no saving people that don't want to be saved. That's the issue. It's like, you can't be a savior of people that don't want to be saved. You know, and you could try and spread a good message as much as possible, but if that message is just annoying to people, it almost pushes them further away from peace, you know?
Right, and then this concept, this theme, putting us here, now he starts talking about trans issues. So he starts making us more questioning what our perception is of our world. And then so this song, Auntie Diaries,
number 15
starts out with, this is how we conceptualize human beings. And then so it's a tribute to his trans uncle. And it goes through this whole entire story of his cousin, of his traumas, of how he was assaulted when he was younger, of this, that, the other thing. But mostly it's how we use hurtful language and hurtful words. At the end, he uses the example that a white lady went on stage and, used the N-word because it's part of Kendrick Lamar's songs. And so that's why he ends with,
the F word, but not the F-U-C-K one.
The other bad one.
Yeah.
We can say it together. He says the word 3 times, but only if you let a white woman say
the N-word. Yeah.
So I'm just like mouth wide open on this.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a make you think on that one. Because it's like,
he's talking about these words in a way that we shouldn't be able to use them, but those
he
words,
can talk about them.
But those words shouldn't have weight how he even puts weight onto them like that, because they're just words at the same time.
True. Yeah.
So
I mean,
like,
you kind of have to own the definition of a word if you're going to get offended by it. You know what I'm saying?
He's taking the car and he's going over here. And then he's going over here.
He's driving fast with this one.
And then that's when song 16, Mr. Morale, shows up. And honestly, it's one of the fullest, like, biggest instrumentals. Because it's just so intense. It's like a movie. It's reminiscent of the Black Panther album.
Okay.
The samples on it. So it's kind of like this tribalistic heaviness. And then that's what makes me say, this one is entering the Kung Fu Kenny-verse. Because there's really like nothing really big you can say about this because it's so intense. It like overtakes the whole environment of the album, and you're just mesmerized by Kendrick the whole entire time you're listening to it. Because like there's these running parts where he's running, and then he starts the verse, and it goes back, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably time for the next song, number 17, Mother I Sober. Speaking of intense, it's like him talking about and airing out his dirty laundry with regards to sobriety. And, one of my favorite lines from this tune is, "You've never felt grief until you felt it sober." And I was like, oh, shit. Because it's really true. I mean, a lot of us try to hide our feelings. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the episode, but we try to maybe not intentionally hide them, but we feel our emotions less when we use substances or television or anything to replace feeling that emotion. And like Kendrick has done through this whole album, I think he is, soberly felt all his emotions, if that makes sense.
Right? So that makes me like, well, we're kind of that conceptualization.
Yeah,
I'm using too big of words right now for the ending of the episode. I'm just throwing it out there.
I gotcha.
But so now we're on this plateau, and we're like, okay, now I feel all that. It kind of feels done, doesn't it? When you said that, it kind of feels like we're done.
But it's not done.
Because the last song is him saying, it's Mirror, number 18. Mm-hmm. He is saying, I'm sorry I haven't wrote any more songs. I'm sorry that I haven't been, that I'm not going to be on stage longer. I choose me, I'm going home.
Yeah.
And it starts off with Kodak Black saying, I choose me. And then the chorus is, I choose me, I'm sorry. And man, I think it's one of the greatest outro songs. Mm-hmm. Because he's telling you that I should have more, but I'm sorry I don't.
It's a brutally honest take, but in also some senses, it's like I'm ready to choose me instead of the extrinsic value that I get from this idea of being a savior.
He is kind of being mean. He is saying, I'm choosing my family. I am not choosing my fans.
What's the weird paradox of like being charitable? Because being charitable feels good, and it can feel good in a selfish sense, right? Whereas sometimes charity could just be not selfish either.
Yeah, but for Kendrick, it's releasing an album a year. That's his charity. That's what people want of him. Mm-hmm. They want him to release an album every single year, and they want him to release stuff that's not new, that's him, that's just his thought process, because this song, Mirror, is getting a lot of hate.
From some.
I think it's because of the EDM type structure, because it has this EDM instrumental type feel within the hi-hat.
Okay.
Right? You were talking about that the other day, where the hi-hat kind of overtakes the whole beat.
Yeah, so
at some points, and it creates this tension.
The way that it does that is basically through, there's more than one way to do it, of course, but it's like taking a graphic EQ and then taking a band of that graphic EQ and then raising the gain on it so that it increases the volume. And then what you do is you drag it across the frequency spectrum to highlight different things. So like, here's an example sound-wise. So it's like, from And I know that sounds goofy and cringy, but it's
who's singing?
I know, but it's literally what happens actually, because you're affecting the way that or you're affecting the frequencies that you hear the most, and by doing so, you actually create a lot of, like, I guess a lot of the center of this mix is around that hi-hat. I guess what would you call it? Special effect, maybe?
Right, but that right there, that's where I'm like, this is kind of an EDM. It's not a classic rap tune instrumental. It is not like a classic I sampled Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, right. But it is,
and then put an 808 on it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that's cool about rap, is it borrows from basically anything and everything. An example might be Street Dreams by Nas. That's a borrowed chorus / melody from the song Sweet Dreams by Eurythmics. So it's really cool how rap is allowed to take from basically any genre and then use it as its own. And
right.
That's what I love about this. Now, give us an overview of what you overall think. Obviously, we think this entire album is genuine, considering all the references that were made throughout. But, you know, what's your final take, Justin?
It's Kendrick Lamar's therapy album.
Yep.
And it was needed for everyone.
Yeah. And it's a good way for us to all reflect on the last 2 years, honestly, as well. And I'm going to be listening to this album for a long, long time.
Oh my. We'll listen to this album in 10 years from now and go, what did we witness when we were younger?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, in my opinion, it will be one of the best rap albums to come out of Kendrick in terms of its meaning, but it might not get that in plays. But I don't think that matters.
Hopefully it gets it in plays, because I mean, he's the 5 years removed, and then he releases something like this. I mean, The Heart Part 5 broke so many records when it didn't break records, but you know what I mean. Like, it was just so popular right away. And in my head, if you get put on today's top hits at number 1, and this is a thank you note to your fans and you're being truthful, like we'll be seeing that. We'll be seeing that for so long.
Definitely we will. So this has been the Cheap Shot Music Podcast.
Please download or stream this wherever you get your podcasts.
Please leave a like and or a comment on our social medias. It's greatly appreciated.
And thank you everyone for listening.